Welcome to the Beyond Jiu-Jitsu podcast. I'm your co-host, Kieren Lefebvre, joined by Adam Childs, the one,
is
the only.
up? We are in the triple digits 101.
101, baby.
Yeah, obviously last episode was our episode 100. We did our little quiz session.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Some questions were better than others, but
Some
all in all.
questions some of us should have known but didn't know.
Yeah. ADCC?
Yeah, that's the first one. Yeah, whatever. You dumping shit on Osvaldo Alves.
Yeah. Wow. I still feel bad.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, definitely check out the episode. It was our longest episode. It was nearly 2 hours. We did a 2-part, which is why there was no episode on Tuesday this week, because you'll be listening to this on a Friday when it airs. But if you're listening to it from the future,
is the episode we're recording right now coming out on Friday?
It sure is.
All right, so we'll do that one first.
Yes, sounds good.
So slight shuffle around. I mean, clearly, if anyone has been watching our Instagram reels, we're super professional.
Super professional,
right?
Yeah.
I liked the one, like sometimes when I make the reels. So Kieren does most of the. When I say most, like 99.9% of the editing.
What editing do you do?
The reels.
Oh, right. Sorry. I was like, where's this 0.1%? You're like at home. Like,
okay, 99.99. So I do 0.001%. So Kieren does all the stuff. I mean, something that hasn't been mentioned since the first handful of episodes. So any later listeners might not know that, you know, you're a videographer and, you know, you've been making YouTube content and filming jiu-jitsu instructionals and, you know, working with companies, making commercials and whatever for ages. So you know how to do
sounds impressive.
So you know how to do all the editing stuff. So Kieren, this is why our audio is so good. Kieren edits it and uploads the episodes to YouTube and whatnot. And then he'll send me a specially formatted episode that then I chop up to make to put on Instagram and stuff. So I'll be like watching back through it, and one that I posted the other day was just like, I forget these stupid conversations, the times we definitely go beyond jiu-jitsu. And one I posted the other day was about like when I sneezed, and then we're laughing about how I say achoo when I sneeze. And then I didn't put it in the reel, but then I remember that conversation went into how in Portuguese they say aching instead of achoo. And
that's so funny.
Anyway, good times.
Well, this episode that you're listening to now is all about internal competitions. So a lot of gyms have internal comps. Some of them even put their internal comps onto Smooth Comp.
Yes, I saw that recently, which I thought that was weird.
I've seen a whole bunch, because whenever I'm looking at Smooth Comp about what comps are coming up, what's in the area, all these random internal comps will start popping up.
Why do you need to use, I don't know. Yeah, I guess Smooth Comp's international, right? The platform.
Oh, yeah.
So why would you need to use a platform like Smooth Comp for an internal competition?
Make it more legit. I don't know, man. There's got to be some sort of reason, but I'm couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't fathom wanting to use that platform to host a competition. It's a pain in the ass just to register for one. That website is so bad.
It's the best we've got, Adam. It's the best we've got.
So one of my students, Sim, I don't know if you know this, but Sim is teachers at university, like computer programming and coding, and I'm not exactly sure. I might be butchering actually what she does, but she's a professor of computer science stuff. And when she was on the Smooth Comp website for the first time, she was like, oh my God, she's not a web developer or anything, but I guess just knowing how all that stuff works, she was like, I will pay them to let me redo this website. It is so bad. And then Jonty, one of the other students, registered for an upcoming competition for the first time. He's a white belt, so he's never used Smooth Comp before. And he was like, man, he's like, that's really hard to register for a competition. I'm like, yep, welcome to Jiu-Jitsu, bro.
Yeah, they don't make it easy. Once you do it a couple of times, you find, you learn the system. and then you come accustomed to it. But definitely for the first time, it's hard to find the registration button really because it's so hidden.
It's like drinking beer. You never like it the first time. You
Yeah.
get used to it.
Yeah, maybe after 5 years, 10 years,
Yeah.
20 years, you still might
Yeah.
like it. Okay.
So internal competitions, there was a few episodes ago you mentioned, it wasn't an internal competition, but I remember you talking about how at Daisy Fresh, if there was beef between any
Oh, they
two
would,
of the
like,
members, they
literally
would,
fight.
they would like actually set up an internal fight, you know? So we're not talking that sort of internal competition.
Good clarification, Adam.
I mean,
we're not punching on here.
you have to clarify some things because
Yeah.
the reason this is coming up is because tomorrow, from when this episode is being released, we're having an internal competition, and I haven't announced the rules to anyone, so no one knows what they're in for. And so I just wanted to chat a bit about internal competitions. I've participated in one. You wouldn't have participated in one yet,
No.
right? Nor will you.
I won't be there.
Yeah.
For everyone that's wondering.
Yeah. So anyone thinking that Kieran's going to take out this our internal
Are we shooting a
competition,
commercial?
yeah, is called the Banana Crown, which I'll explain why. But yeah, I've participated in one, and I did one in Brazil, and it was only recently after joining Fabio's gym. So I was a blue belt, and I hadn't been training there long, and the competition was, I guess, kind of high stakes because it was didn't have belts weren't in it. It was just blue belts and up, and it was only separated by belts. So it was all the blue belts together, male and female, I should add. So it was everyone together, no weight restrictions or anything. And if whoever won, whoever took out the competition would win their next belt. So it was kind of high stakes. And the format was there was no time limit, submission only.
Wow.
And if you remember from when we did the no time limit episode last week or the week before, and we were dumping shit on it, I believe we probably clarified it in the episode. Like, I don't have a problem with no time limit submission only in jiu-jitsu. I just don't think it has a place on a televised live event, right? Or as we spoke about, it's definitely not the purest form of jiu-jitsu in my opinion. But anyway, so that was the format, and I went up against this guy, and at the time I really hated it. I didn't rate the format at all because I was in a room full of very high level competitors. You got to remember, this was back when the gym that I was at would be the equivalent of, a year ago being in the DDS team. It was the top team gym in the world, right? Full of all the big names of that era. And so even all the lower belts were all incredibly competitive. And I didn't love the format because the training was pretty intense, and a lot of people were pushed to sometimes to get a submission. You have to do things that are pretty nasty that you might not do in training, but you would do in a comp, right? But then all of a sudden when you're doing it against a teammate, you're like, oh, that sort of, I don't know. For me, I didn't love it. Didn't really matter because I lost my first match. But it was actually quite funny because I went up against this guy called Hafa, who more or less about the same height as me, just a bit leaner than me. We were kind of, he would very easily make middle heavy, so 88 kilos. And if he really wanted to, he could cut to middleweight down to 82. Wow. So he was super lean.
Yeah, he must have been
but really strong, right? Whereas I was the opposite. I was like 88 and I could never make 82. And if I didn't want to cut weight at all, I would then be heavyweight 94. So we were more or less one weight division apart, but we were often the same weight division. And I didn't know him at the time. I had just moved there. And I can't remember exactly how the match went. Like, I think because it was no points or anything, I think I pulled guard or whatever. And then he just sat down to guard. And I remember thinking like, well, hey, you can't do that. But there was no point. Yeah. So like I ended up just coming up, and then I think he from guard got to my back and submitted me, something like that. Yeah, and it was cool. It was a fun experience, Then after the blue belts were done, the purple belts went, and then I mean the brown belts. The guy who it was funny because the brown belt division, the guy who won that then got his black belt, which
Mm,
a big
that's crazy.
a
Yeah.
big deal. And then the following weekend, so that was on a Saturday or whatever. The following weekend, Fabio did another internal competition just for the black belts. And obviously it's not like you then can win your coral belt.
Mm.
So it was, he had prize money. I think it was like 1,500 reais or something.
That's
so
cool.
like, relative to whatever currency you live in, it's like 1,500 bucks, it's no joke. And the sort of kicker in the format is not only was it submission only, like the brackets were made, and just say it's like you and me versus, you and me are fighting each other, and whoever wins out of us is going to take on the winner of John and Steve, right? You submit me in 5 minutes, right? So you tap me, you're going on to the next round.
Very likely.
Yeah, very likely. Which is funny. I went to make a new reel with that video that Joey filmed of us rolling,
yeah.
but because he filmed it vertically and I just couldn't get it working how I wanted, I was like, "Duh, I'll sort it out there." Right? So you're waiting for the winner of John and Steve, right? So your match took 5 minutes. If their match goes for an hour, right? You've been resting for 55 minutes, right? You're ready to go. Once their match ends, it's not like a regular competition where you're deemed like the same amount of rest time as your match is. You know how in a regular comp, they can't just put you straight back in.
Yeah, you have to get a minimum of 6 minutes.
Yeah. In this, it wasn't like, it's not like, oh, okay, well, they went for an hour, so you get a good like 10, 15 minutes rest. It's like, no, like you go, Kieran's waiting.
Yeah.
Let's go,
Wow.
So the incentive to try finish quick is if you want to rest, if you want any sort of rest and recovery. And that happened to heaps of people. Like one of my friends who is also now a black belt from Fabio, Ali's his name. He owns a gym in Bahrain. And he won worlds at blue belt as well. So he's, very, very good competitor. Still competes a lot now in that sort of like Abu Dhabi circuit. He won his first match that took, like 45 minutes or something, and then went straight into the next match against the guy who ended up winning it, by the way, and just, like 10 seconds just got foot locked. Like, he just literally just like, oh, yep, thanks, submitted the one dude, just turned and went straight against Kaio, the other guy. And then so the following weekend, Fabio did the same thing for the black belts. And the guy who ended up winning it was the guy who won his black belt the week before.
What a champion.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He got kind of lucky. I don't want to say lucky, like you can't discredit it, but he won his first match and then he was waiting for the winner. Fabio himself participated in it. And it was Fabio versus Sergio Moraes. Sergio Moraes, if you don't know who he is, he's a former black belt world champion. Let me bring up the year so to give people some. But he also fought in the UFC. He fought in the Ultimate Fighter back when that was a thing. And then I don't know if I don't believe he still fights in the UFC. But his Jiu-Jitsu gym is I can't remember. It's in the south of Brazil. So he was on the Ultimate Fighter in 2012 and he won worlds 2008, 2009, 2011.
Wow.
Yeah. So Fabio and Serginho, they were going up against each other and the other guy was waiting for the winner of them. I actually can't remember who won out of Serginho and Fabio. I can't remember, but it was like an hour-long match or something. And then so Mosquito, this other guy, once he got the winner, whoever it was, I can't remember, just instantly smashed him because they were wrecked from an hour match and he had been waiting for an hour.
Yeah.
And he ended up winning. So imagine that. Like on one Saturday, he wins his black belt. The next Saturday, he wins $1,500.
That's great.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. And then there was the guy who won the purple belt division. He actually didn't get his brown belt because he won, but he had only like 6 months earlier or something won worlds at blue belt and been given his purple belt. So he he hadn't been a purple belt for long enough
Nah, that's
to
bullshit.
win his brown belt. Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, a little bullshit, but this is definitely still when it was the IBJJF was the unquestionable
Got you.
overruling
Yeah,
authority
yeah. It was
of
like,
jiu-jitsu, where it
yeah,
was like, well, man, you haven't done the time, you
yeah,
can't
that makes
yet.
sense.
Uh, they've lost a bit of their weight in the jiu-jitsu world recently,
Oh, yeah,
but yeah, this was, whatever it was, 10 years ago, 12 years ago,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. That makes sense. Oh, that's
So
cool.
that's the only internal comp I've had experience to. And yeah, I guess like I said, at the time, I didn't like the idea of the format, but it was cool. And then, so the guy that I went up against, Huffer, who I lost to, it was quite funny because, yeah, we were about the same, weight and everything. And then we never used to train at the same times. I trained morning and lunch every day, and he trained only in the evenings. So I didn't really know who he was. And then I was new at the gym. But then, even as I had been there for a couple of years or whatever, we trained at different times. So I never really saw him. I knew who he was, but never really saw him. And then we met in the semifinals of like an actual competition, like the what would be the equivalent to like the Sydney Cup and whatever. But obviously, it was the Paulista, which is like the state that I lived in. And, this state has like 35 million people. So it's like a small local competition, but it's a big competition. And yeah, we met in the semis and it was like, oh, like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to fight, or one of us goes through, And I was like, I really want to like win a gold medal. And he was like, oh yeah, let's just fight. And I was like, okay. So we fought, and it was actually zeros, no points, no advantages or anything. And, or maybe, yeah. And I won on ref's decision.
Nice.
So it was like, or maybe I won on one advantage, but yeah, it was like, there was nothing in it. And then after that, we went on to, he started training at lunches and I started training at evenings. And then we became super good training partners and like really good friends, and would be that sort of training partner, similar to you and Toby, like you can probably recall whether last roll you got the better of him or he got the better of you, and like, so you're always, that next role, you're always knowing if you're having to defend your title or like try to retake it. And that was me and
100%.
Huffer. We had those, no animosity in our roles, super friendly, but they were just
really competitive and really good training.
At any given moment, one of us would get the better of the other. And,
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, he's now well and truly a black belt and everything. But yeah, it was, that was my internal competition experience.
Right. So you are hosting your second internal comp. Is this the second one, or have you had one before the pineapple?
No. So this is the second one. So for the members of our gym who've been with us for a while, they will already know the origin story of the Pineapple Cup, the Banana Crown. So this started when, Pineapple Cup started before you were training, right? So this started due to COVID lockdowns and everything. When we came out of lockdown and you were allowed to train again here in Sydney, Australia, there still weren't any competitions at all. Because of the restrictions the government had put in place, you couldn't have that many people in the one location because of social distancing and whatever. So even though we were allowed to train, there were restrictions on the number of people in class and the amount of people in the one venue and all this. So I decided, hey, let's do an internal competition just so there's no competitions, people haven't competed in ages. Let's just do one for a bit of fun, and also as a way to get the whole team together, sort of internal comp / like a social get together, because people haven't seen each other face to face for so long due to lockdowns. And it was fun. We split it by belts. So it was all the white belts together, all the blue belts together, all the purple belts together. And it was just standard IBJJF rules. It was gi matches. There were 2 matches happening at once. I was reffing one, Joey was reffing the other. And then the reason it was called the Pineapple Cup was just out of the novelty of, hey, I'm not going to get you guys medals or anything. It's just like a little internal, let's have fun competition. But if you look at a pineapple that's still got its leaves on it, it kind of looks like a trophy. So, it'll be the Pineapple Cup. All the winners get a pineapple. So there were 4 winners because we had, the girls. At that time, we only had 2 girls. So they did like a best out of 3 match. So we had like the 2 girls. So that was one division. Then there was the white belts, the blue belts, and the purple belts. And we only had 1 brown belt. So he just went in with the purple belts. So we had those 4 divisions. So we had the 4 winners. And it was quite funny because after the Pineapple Cup, and they won their pineapples. I think we went to the pub or whatever afterwards. But as the days went by, they started sending through photos of what they did with their pineapples. And it was really funny because one of the girls being Brazilian, she had like cut it up and grilled it. And she was like, oh, this is, here's my trophy. And another one sent through photos of making a pineapple juice. And it was really funny. Ross, he's just sent a photo of him lying in bed with his pineapple. So now we're doing another internal comp. And this one just, again, for no logic. Well, there is logic, but for no real credible reason, it's called the Banana Crown.
And you get a banana.
You get a bunch of bananas because a bunch of bananas.
Whoa. I was told there was 1 banana. This is bullshit. I object. I want an opportunity to win these bananas.
To win multiple bananas. Yeah, because a bunch of bananas you could imagine if it was on your head, could look like a crown.
Yeah.
So
you arranged it in a circle.
Well, yeah, it's sort of already in a semicircle, bunch of bananas.
Okay.
Have you never seen a bunch of bananas?
Yeah, that's like I've seen a bunch of bananas. Come on.
I don't believe you.
Oh, I've seen bananas.
Look,
you called me out of my deepest, darkest secret. I've never seen a banana.
There's a dog.
Okay. Yeah. I see. Yep.
Banana crown. Right? Or how about this one for you?
This doesn't really work on audio, but it's a dog wearing okay, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Okay.
It's a bunch of bananas on people's heads that look like crowns.
Okay, I concede that. Yep. So
why are we doing this banana crown? Firstly.
Yeah.
So the Pineapple Cup, as I mentioned, was just as a social get together and there hadn't been competitions, blah, blah, blah. Why are we doing the banana crown? Well, the social aspect, but also because we previously had a regular competition and no one did it. And I don't know why. I always say to my students, hey, if you're going to do a comp, do the one here that's at Sydney Uni. It's as close as they get. All the other ones are further away. And like no one did, like 2 students did it. So I was like,
I'm no one, am I, Adam? I'm fucking no one.
Wait, did you do that last one?
Yes.
Oh, it mustn't have been very memorable. Wait, no, it was memorable for all the wrong reasons, wasn't it? Was it the last one you got checked out, close guard?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was funny. Yeah, no, unfortunate though. We were rolling the other night. Who was trying to choke me while they were in my close guard? Someone just...
I think it was Rob.
And I looked over and I was like, Kieren, what do I do?
Yeah, I think it was Rob. I think he's trolling.
Yeah, he was trolling. So I was like, hey, fine, you guys don't want to go do a regular competition? We're going to have another internal one. Oh, and participation is mandatory.
Yeah.
And the rules won't be announced till the day. And then everyone was like, oh, what are the rules? What is this? What is that?
It doesn't really matter, hey.
And I simply said, hey, you want to know the rules of the competition beforehand? Do a regular competition.
Yeah.
Where they tell you.
Yeah.
This is punishment.
This is a natural consequence. We don't punish. There's natural consequences.
It's all a bit of fun. I mean, it's kind of really just a get together of students under the facade of it being a competition. Because afterwards, we're all going to go to like the pub that's down from the gym and have lunch and have some drinks and whatever and hang out.
So we got to talk about the elephant in the room. We got to talk about the rules. I've been thinking about this because, like you said, you sort of alluded to, but it actually has been a big thing in the gym. Everyone's like, "Oh, what's the rules? What's the rules? Oh, is it gi? Is it no gi?" Everyone's like panicking and shit, and like, "Oh, what are the weights? Oh, what's this? What's that?" I think I know how you're going to split the divisions.
Well, you probably do now because of what I put in our group chat recently.
Well, yeah, I had a prediction. I always thought, and this was from weeks ago, that you were going to split the weights because there's too many people. You have to split weights. But where and how are you going to split weights? I think it's too much for you to do like traditional weight divisions. There's not enough people. For example, like if, the under like the 66 kilo, like the rooster division for men.
One person.
Like one person.
Yeah,
so one idea I thought, you're going to look at all the weights and just combine divisions where appropriate to fit X amount of people. And then I thought, That's too much work for Adam. I think that he's just going to cut it at 80. So you're going to say above 80 kilos, below 80 kilos, and that's how you're going to run it.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, first how am I going to split it? Originally, I was
And by belt, of course.
Originally, I was just going to do it by belt, right? I was just going to go like the last competition, all white belts together, all blues, all purples, etc. I've since changed my mind, and you're sort of on the right track. It won't be separated by belt at all. It's all the belts in together, and it will only be separated by weight. So similar,
that's so good, dude.
So similar to like ADCC, where it's like, hey, well, if you're a good enough
that's so
blue
good.
belt, and in terms of how am I going to split the weights, it depends on how they're spread out. I think I'm going to try get it into 3. Like, so I'll have from, this weight, let's say whatever, like 70 kilos and below, that's everyone. 70 kilos to 90 kilos, that's another division, and then 90 plus is everyone else.
Oh,
so it's going
to works so well for me. I've been thinking about this, and I thought for some reason in my mind, I'm like, he's going to split it at 80, and I'm going to be at the bottom of the heavy bracket. That's what I was thinking.
Well, you're not going to be there anyway.
I was putting myself in the shoes, Adam. I was trying to get into it, all right? And I was like, fuck, okay. If I'm at the bottom, that means I've got this person, that person, that person. And I was like, thinking about what my strategy would be. I've been like studying a particular person to try and shut down a particular thing. I'm not going to say anything because I'm still working on it. It's hush, hush, shh, shh. Just training, guys, just training. So yeah, I've been like strategizing how I was going to take out the division if I was in the heavy division, if I was there.
Yeah.
Because, I still have my hopes up, even though I'm not going to be there.
They'll cancel the work trip.
It's not going to be canceled. It's like super locked in. But yeah, I'm super disappointed that I'm not going to be there.
Yeah, so
I'm hungry for bananas.
You're hungry for bananas.
I need that fruit.
Yeah,
need that potassium, yo.
The potassium cup.
Yeah.
So that's how. Yeah, I'm going to wait till I have all the data, so to speak, and it might turn out that it is just split. 80 below, 80 and up. Like, it'll depend
how many people.
Because if I've only got, like you said, like one person over 90 kilos, I can't be like, and then 90 and up, So it'll be 2 or 3 divisions. And then I don't have enough girls at the gym member-wise to do the same thing for the girls. So it'll just be all the girls together. And they're all about, actually, no, that's not true. They're not all about the same weight. But, unfortunately, I just don't have the numbers.
You got to do what you got to do.
Or I could give them an option. I'll say, if you just want to go in with everyone else, maybe they'll be happy to, But
Please
anyway.
do.
So that's how.
See Sophia tap someone so bad.
yeah, Sophia's a beast. So that's how I'll split the weights. What are the rules? So it'll be like the internal comp I did in Brazil. It'll be submission only.
Oh, you're joking.
No.
I'm missing out on the best. That format works for me so well.
Yeah, like it's a great format for training. Like,
no.
Like I said, I had someone, my wife was like, you can't do that after you ragged on no time limit submission only.
Yes, you can.
I was like, well, I mean, I'm not televising it. Plus, there's lots of things I do in training that I wouldn't want to watch. Like, I love in training doing side control specific training, but I wouldn't want to have a competition formatted around it.
This is so bad for me because, like,
you still don't slow down. You still don't know there's more.
Oh fuck!
Right?
It's gonna get better.
So it'll be the same as the one in Sao Paulo, where the incentive to finish your fight early is so you get a rest before your next match, right? Because the brackets will be made, and if you tap your opponent early, you're then just waiting for the other people to finish. In terms, there won't be any referees or anything. It'll be, because we're all training partners and friends, so there'll be a bit of, there'll be X amount of pairs all rolling at the same time. It's like, guys, like if you bump into the wall, just reset this, like you would in training. And then once there's a submission, you come tell me who won and I'll fill it in on the bracket. So that's the incentive to try get the submission early. What will the rules be? The rules will be how we apply it for blue belt and up in the gym. So that means you can do toe holds and knee bars. Can you do heel hooks though? Not in the gi. Will it be gi or no gi? Well, Kieren, here's the final kicker. Before every single match, not just before the day, before every single one of your matches, you and your partner will come up to me and they'll be like, a bag or a hat, so to speak, and you'll put your hands in and you'll pull out, and that will tell you it'll be whether that'll say it'll be a ball,
Yeah.
and there's multiple balls in the bag,
Yeah.
and you're either going to pull out a ball that says gi or you'll pull out a ball that says no gi, and you'll do that for every match.
And if you and your partner get opposite balls?
No, just one of you, like flipping a coin.
Right.
Just one of you, one of the pair pulls a ball out of the hat.
That's so good.
So every match could potentially be different. And then if it's a no-gi match, then it's how we do it in the gym for blue belts and up. You can do heel hooks and reaping and all that.
Oh, that's so
But
good.
no, in the gi, you obviously can't, because even at black belt, you're not allowed to reap and heel hook in the gi. But yeah, so it'll be no time limit, submission only. It will be essentially a coin toss for every match as to whether it's gi or no gi. But
Man.
bananas are on the line. So
Man,
this
I'm
is no
devoted.
joke. And that's it. And then we'll go to the pub.
Like, man, I was
It should
pretty
be fun.
devoted for missing out on this before, but now I'm even more devoted because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
And submission only really works for me because I think
because
that
you are very hard to submit.
yeah.
Today's Wednesday, and on Monday I tried to arm triangle you, and I cost my grip so much on my left arm, my forearm and wrist is still sore 2 days
Good.
later.
It hurt.
Keep in
Very
mind, I trained a lot between then and now.
It was
but
rough.
It's like,
It was rough.
man, like, because when you roll with Kieren, you pretty much, like, you have to put him to sleep. Like, he doesn't tap.
Most of the time. Sometimes I do. I've gotten better. But like if I don't think I'm going to go out, I'm not going to tap. I only
Even
tap if I think
the
I'm gonna go
video
out.
I was trying to make the reel of where I
I
rear
tapped.
naked. No, you did tap, but then you're like,
Yeah.
it's like you were so
Yeah.
close to death.
Well, I'm not
you
going
know?
to tap straight away. I hate it when like, this is very common. It's very, very common for like newer people to tap when there's no submission just because they
Yeah.
think there's a submission coming.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that, bro.
No,
You got to fucking get it.
Yeah.
You got to earn that shit.
that is very true.
Let your arm hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm fine. I'm
Yeah.
fine after that triangle. Like it sucked at the time, the arm triangle, but man, I'm good. But
yeah. You said afterwards, you're like, oh, it was probably one of the worst experiences I've ever had.
yeah, it's one of the worst experiences. Like I was thinking about that at the time. You know, normally when you're in a sub, you're just like thinking about fighting. But the thought did cross my mind. This is probably one of the most uncomfortable / painful experiences I've had in jiu-jitsu in a while. But it wasn't like
the shoulder just wasn't.
I wasn't
quite
worried
in the
about
right
something like
right
hurting.
spot.
Like I wasn't worried about something breaking. I just want to put that
Yeah,
out. Like
yeah.
I'm not like, you know, one of those dickheads anymore that is going to let you break my arm and shit like that. Like I wasn't worried about anything breaking. It was just a lot of pressure over my face. A lot of like, it was constricting my breathing completely, but I was able to like breathe through your gi sort of thing.
Yeah, because it was in the gi as well, so it was
Yeah.
a bit. It wasn't. I knew it wasn't locked in properly,
Mm.
but I was still thinking, how is he not tapping? I was like,
I was just being stubborn.
Yeah.
I got to the point where it's like, nah, I've spent too long in this. Like,
Yeah, you're like committed to
yeah,
not tapping now.
because after
yeah.
you adjusted a few times, I was there for maybe just under a minute.
Yeah, it felt like forever. It hurt my arm a lot.
Say for example, it's a minute. After about 20, 30 seconds, I'm like, man, I've spent 30 seconds in this thing. I'm not tapping.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not tapping. I think if we stayed there for another 5 minutes, it would have just asphyxiated me. So eventually would have got me. Like I would have had to have
Yeah,
tapped because of
yeah.
lack of oxygen, but
Yeah.
not because of like shut off of the
Yeah,
blood.
yeah.
But yeah. And whenever we do, submission only, it's kind of like if I'm going up against someone that normally would beat me on points, like take Eric, for example. I think normally he would probably beat me on points. Unless I got lucky or whatever, or I was having a really good day. So I'd say like if we rolled out of 10, he would probably win 8 out of 10 on points. But in submission only, I like my chances a lot better, like a lot better.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, that's really good for me.
So funny. Eric's so funny, man. So he trained last night and I had some good hard rolls with him, and it's so funny because we always joke and we're always like, fuck Eric. He's like such a nice guy. And even when he tries to even when he like makes jokes and everything, like it's done in such like a friendly way.
Yeah, he's a
and
lovely dude.
like I swept him and he's like, oh, you got lucky there, and then at the end of class, he's like walking out the door and he's like, hey Adam, you keep passing me just the same way. He's like, you got to mix it up, bro. I'm like, fuck you, Eric. I only pass you one way.
He's not joking, bro.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Oh,
Like, all right,
man,
Eric, I'll
Eric
mix it
is
up.
like an absolute athlete of the dude, ex-professional basketball player. And he is the prime example. You hear this a lot where like people talk about some people just come to jiu-jitsu and they are just natural athletes. he is one
Yeah.
of those people.
Yeah,
Like some people are
100%.
really strong and they can use their strength. That's where I think that I'm in that category. For my weight, I'm strong, but I don't think I'm on the same like level of being an athlete like Eric is.
Yeah,
He is a fucking
he's an
athlete. So it's
isn't he?
it's
Yeah.
hard to describe until you roll with someone that is, that they're naturally just fucking born to be an athlete, and
Yeah.
he is one of those people.
Yeah.
And it's like a combination of strength, flexibility, endurance when he's been training. Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a
he's
man crush on the
handful.
guy.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, Jesus, calm down. You want to marry him? No, he's
But
an awesome
Eric
training
might
partner.
not be there either because he's just got back from holidays and
He's working, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
can't really get out of work.
Mate.
Yeah, I mean, I changed
don't-
this
I don't
date
really
to try to
know.
accommodate people. There's
Yeah.
some people like Nogi Rob, forget about it, furious at him. Brendan, man, dude's going to the pub and doing an escape room
Mm.
instead. And I was like, gave him 6 weeks notice for it. He's lucky he's fucking getting deported. Otherwise, not getting deported, but he's being relocated due to his work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd be kicking. No.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's
so many
rough.
people making excuses. I'm like, man,
It's
if you,
mandatory.
if you want to come to the pub and hang out, got to try to win some bananas
I think
first.
if you,
Well,
I'm
like
just
I
going to
said,
say that if you put a belt on the line, everyone will show up.
maybe,
Seriously, like if you said, and I'm,
Well,
I love
I said to
our
Brendan
training
when
partners, but
I said to Brendan when he finally confessed, because he wasn't going to tell me because he knows he's in the wrong.
Yeah.
He wasn't even going to tell me.
just wasn't gonna rock
He
up.
just wasn't going to rock up. I said, Brendan, I said, this banana crown isn't a grading, but I tell you what, I said, I don't take belts back, but regretting giving you that blue belt. You're dogging me, bro.
Oh. Yeah, that is rough. But if you just announced, hey, the winner of each division is going to get a belt, regardless, fucking everyone would go.
You reckon?
Oh yeah, 100%. Unless they thought, oh yeah, I'm not going to win anyway, and had that mentality. But man, if there was a belt on the line, I'd probably cancel my trip. I'd like pay someone else to go for me. That's how. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe one day we could do that.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun, and even like I said, even just the social aspect of it.
So when is the final though? Because the finals can't be fought on that day.
Why not?
Well, I'm not there. So who's fighting me in the finals?
That's what Eric said as well because he was from work. He was like, I'll just rock up for the finals.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you just put me in the finals.
How about me and Eric fight a final? We're not even there. We're just they're fighting for second. Let's be real.
Yeah, and then like I don't know. We'll see how the day plays out. Like how long it takes. I actually don't think it'll take that long because there's going to be multiple matches happening at the same time, and there's not going to be any single. I don't want to. Not talking shit about my students, but no one in the gym, myself included, is training at a level where they're going to be able to sustain a 2-hour-long match or something. Like you don't have two people that are going to match. Even if we've got someone in the gym like that's that fit, we don't have two people who are that fit. So we're not going to have any single pair that is going to be able to sustain like that long of a match.
Yeah.
I think the longest when we've done sub only in just training that I've seen kind of happen in the gym is like a 40-minute match.
Yeah,
I think.
I've had
40-minute
40.
roll.
I've had a 40 with Eric before.
Yeah, so, there might be the odd one that goes really long, but that's okay. The other brackets are working their way through, and then that one might take 40 minutes, but then that person's going to go into another match and maybe get tapped in 10 seconds. So
funny. We did sub only in like little groups, or like I think it was the whole gym. But anyway, I had a 20-minute sub only with Eric, and then straight away I got another partner and I subbed them in like a couple minutes, and then I had a 40-minute straight after with Eric again.
Oh, did you?
It was like 20 minutes, like a 5-minute break, and then 40 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
We rolled for like an hour. It's fucked.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, you won't be there. That's a bummer, but
Yeah, I'm pretty devoed. Not gonna lie.
oh well. And yeah, so we'll see. Like this episode comes out Friday night, so
Whoever listens.
and any of my students who listen to the episodes as they come out will know. Not that it makes a difference. It's not like they can make a game plan, I guess, but they be a little bit more prepared, I guess. But anyone who listens to this as it comes out, they'll know 12 hours in advance.
Yeah.
What they're walking in.
It's kind of like an Easter egg. We're not going to tell them that it's
no,
on the
I'm not going to
podcast.
tell them it's on the podcast. It's just like a little Easter egg. For everyone else, they'll just have to wait till the day. Or I don't know, maybe one of the students will listen to the podcast and then put it in the WhatsApp group. Hey guys, I found out the rules. Blah blah blah.
We'll have to give a short summary recount of how it went on the podcast for episode 103.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll talk about it. What happened, and because you want to know what happened, Kieren.
Certainly will.
You're like, oh, you're not streaming it? No.
Yeah, what about someone suggested that I stream, like when it was on the other date, someone's like, oh, you're going to stream it?
Yeah,
you're gonna live stream
right,
it? It's
they
like,
did.
yeah, bro, sure.
Yeah, live stream a bunch of white belts rolling for bananas. Actually, that's not a bad
sounds
idea.
like a circus. Oh, that's epic. So
but
yeah,
yeah.
internal comps, we rate them.
Yeah, So I'll, like Kieren said, 103, we'll talk about how it went, but let me know your thoughts. I'd like to hear listeners' thoughts on internal comps.
If leave a comment.
Yeah. If you've had them at your gym, do you enjoy them? Do you rate them? But this one should be good. It's the only comp I know of that you can win fruit. Someone actually had a good suggestion. They were like, oh, you should make it where the entry fee is everyone has to, because the Pineapple Cup, there was an entrance fee, which was simply, what was it? It was like $10. And it was only because that money was then used. We actually didn't go to the pub, but it was used for like I catered
catering. Yeah,
an event
of course.
afterwards.
Yeah.
So it was to pay for the catering. But also I don't mind the idea of that. I'm not charging an entrance fee for this because I've said it's participation's mandatory. So I can't really say it's mandatory to participate and pay me. Right. But I like the idea of an entrance fee because it forces people to then be like committed. Like once think about when you do a regular competition, it's not really until you actually pay your registration that you're like, oh, I'm doing it. Until then you're like, I've registered, I just haven't paid yet. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about internal comps, and you'll hear about how this one went in episode 103. Until then, get your potassium, bananas all around.
Eat bananas.
Eat